Calaroga Shark Media.
Hey there, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Are you people really sitting home Memorial Day weekend and watching television? Netflix seems to think so. Tonight is the premiere of Season 2 of Tom Segura's Bad Thoughts, 6 episodes. I loved Season 1. Bad Thoughts follows Tom Segura as he navigates unthinkable situations and fantasies within a cinematic world. I laughed out loud at Season 1. Netflix describes the series as a collection of hilariously disturbing stories that push boundaries of decency in ways only Tom Segura could imagine. Tom Segura said, "It was such a thrill to get the opportunity to entertain and horrify audiences with our very own Bad Thoughts on Netflix. We're all so excited to push things further." Bad Thoughts on Netflix tonight. Jerry Seinfeld has made the claim that without Seinfeld the show, there would be no Friends. Jerry said this during the Netflix Is a Joke Comedy Festival, but there was this roast of Kevin Hart and Stephen Colbert week, and sometimes stories get to sleep for a holiday weekend. You know what I'm saying? Jerry said, "I think NBC was watching my show, and they said, hey, this is working pretty well. Why don't we try the same thing with good-looking people?" Apparently, Jerry has had this chip on his shoulder for years. In 2022, Lisa Kudrow told the Daily Beast she ran into Jerry Seinfeld, who told her, "You're welcome." Kudrow said, "Thank you, what?" And he said, "You're on after us in the summer. You're welcome." In 2024, when promoting the movie Unfrosted, Jerry joked about when people steal your ideas and do whatever they want with them. Seinfeld said, "You mean like Friends?" I don't know about that, Jerry. I don't know about any of that. Now, Jerry. Sure, Friends was on after Seinfeld. When was Seinfeld on between 1991 and 1993? It was on 9:30 on Thursdays. What was on at 9 o'clock? Cheers. So, Jerry, next time you run into Ted Danson, say thanks. The LA Times has a very good, boy, look at John taking a shot at Jerry Seinfeld. But come on, man. Lead-ins work. That's why we do them. Nobody was watching Seinfeld at first except crazy people like me who knew Jerry Seinfeld as a recurring comedian on the wonderful Late Night with David Letterman show. There were two guys that we couldn't get enough of, Jerry Seinfeld and Jay Leno. So when I heard Jerry Seinfeld was getting a sitcom, I watched it from episode 1, but nobody else did. The show almost got canceled. So yeah, it went on after Cheers. That's how you build a network. And then they moved Seinfeld up to 9, and they threw on a show they believed in after. I've never once watched Friends and been like, oh, this is just Seinfeld with better looking people. Not once. Sorry, I don't know why I'm riled up about this. I don't even like Friends. I don't care. The LA Times has a very robust comedy section. They wrote an article. "We watched everything we could at Netflix's joke. This is what stood out." I thought this would be very interesting to take a look at. They wrote, "Considering the amount of comedy that was dropped on LA, the idea that anyone could see it all is laughable. Yet, of course, like fools, once again, we tried." Try and fly through this. Shane Gillis' show at the Hollywood Bowl. Commanding a solid roster of veteran comics, including James McCann, Sam Jay, Ron White, Dan Soder, and Jim Jeffries. That's a pretty good lineup. Gillis took on the role of a grizzled and playfully perverse football coach, hosting the night and telling funny stories about his days as a very average high school football player on crappy all-white teams before he blew up in comedy. They liked Mike Ward at Dynasty Typewriter. Record breaker and a master of storytelling in French, Mike Ward did not disappoint with his all-English crossover, covering everything from his legendary Supreme Court of Canada case to teenage lust, dating after marriage, attempting generosity, and trunk love. Ward mentioned jokes translating from French to English and how that hit, but he was definitely in his element. That's great. They went to see Jerry Seinfeld featuring Leanne Morgan. Leanne, I hope you said thanks. The LA Times wrote, "Blending the big city humor with hilarious Southern comfort might sound like an odd pairing, but somehow the combo of Jerry Seinfeld and Leanne Morgan just works. Yes, we love a good rant about the terrors of technology from a comedy legend like Seinfeld, but his crotchety comedy on a cold night at the Greek Theater was complemented by Morgan's ability to add warmth and sweetness to her smack talk about being a small-town cheer mom in the world of competitive cheerleading, which she described as the Olympics meets Honey Boo Boo." That's great. They liked Nate Jackson at the Laugh Factory Hollywood. The LA Times says it's a skill for a comedian to be able to sit in the pocket of a crowd's energy and keep a room full of people laughing and on their toes at the same time. Try doing it for 6 shows back-to-back. In Jackson's case, that meant delivering some third-degree burns in the front several rows of the crowd known as the roast zone. Jackson prefaces every show the same way. "Rule number 1, if I look at you and you don't want no smoke, look away. That is the rule and the standard. I do not get people unless they lock eyes and give me consent. As a matter of fact, this is called the roast zone. If anyone is accidentally down there, it's time to get the F out, because rule number 2 is if I look at you and you look at me and I start and you don't like what I decided to talk about, looking away will no longer save you." Wanda Sykes at the Dolby Theater. Politics, family, inflation, racism, weight gain, and greed were among the multiple topics. Kill Tony at the Intuit Dome. On the panel, Harlan Williams and Gabriel Iglesias. The Legends Bucket made its way to the arena in L.A. The polls were Ron White, Joe DeRosa, and Tony's number one favorite comic, Tony Hinchcliffe, played by Adam Ray. Oh, that sounds amazing. Oh, I got to find a clip of that. Let me see if I can find something quick. Maybe somebody grabbed that. I didn't know that happened.
Make some noise for Brian Redband, everybody. And make some noise for the best goddamn band in the land. Oh my God. Unbelievable. Who's ready for the best f***ing night of their lives? Oh yeah. Oh my God. We're really doing it, Red Band. Every Monday, we're doing it live.
All right, that was fun. The visual definitely helps, but boy, that's fun. See, I like hosting the show, and that's why I don't read these things in advance, so that I can react like that. Tony Hinchcliffe, played by Adam Ray, showed the crowd exactly what effortless and absolute merciless veteran comedy looks like. Dave Chappelle. Now, this is interesting. The LA Times writes, we're not allowed to say anything about what went on at the Dave Chappelle 3-show residency, other than the fact it was an evening of music and comedy. Per usual, they locked up the crowd's phones to see a show. But why aren't they allowed to say anything? Like, couldn't somebody as a civilian go to the show? It's been very weird. I've seen nothing about that Chappelle, 3 Chappelle shows. Nothing. Nothing has come out. Very strange. Hasan Minhaj versus Ronny Chieng at the Dolby Theater. They challenged one another to prove who's better suited to fix a broken America, Asians or Indians. Never mind that Indians are South Asians. The two comedians got plenty of laughs, backing up their absurd arguments with flowcharts, graphs, curated news clips, an AI bot called Neri, and plenty of racist rhetoric. That sounds like a fun show. They broke down the debate into categories. Who's better at academics? Business and the economy? Cuisine? Ronny Chieng argued that Asians are better at sports, with a list of Olympic gold medal wins over the past 3 summer games. He won't use all of Asia, he said, just China. The result, the country had over 100 gold medals. India had just 1. Hasan Minhaj wondered aloud, for people who love gold so much, why is it so hard for us to win one? Sounds like a good show. Atsuko Okatsuka. The LA Times said her show at the Orpheum is the result of a brand new hour. She's been performing on tour and includes plenty of jokes about dinosaurs and her love of Jamaican dancehall choreography. I've seen the show. All that is very, very funny. If Atsuko's around, go see it. It's a great hour. Before she got on stage, she got blindsided by the appearance of 2 comedy titans, Margaret Cho and Trevor Noah. Wow. That's a nice bonus, who came out to deliver punchy, political-driven opening sets that got loads of laughter and set the tone. And she announced her next special will be on Netflix in 2027. Australian-born comedian James McCann at the Hollywood Improv topped the bill Saturday night. High energy was the vibe. Mullet looking flawless, poems in tow, and dark humor dialed to an 11. He questioned LA's homeless crisis, may have questioned the audience a bit too much, and tore through his thoughts on a census overhaul, the insanity of the TV show Survivor, the glory days of drinking, and having visions of finally being successful enough to hire his dream team. The LA Times also hit the Two Bears 5K. They tell us whether you kicked off the magical day of athleticism and a downward dog with Ari Shaffir, or if you went straight for the starting line with Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura, and Jelly Roll, there was stretching, pacing, sweating, and rejoicing to be had. A bunch of comics on hand. The finish line led runners directly into the Rose Bowl, where there were plenty of pour osos flowing, snacks, interactive games, and recovery stations, and a live taping of Two Bears, One Cave. Sunday, May 10th, Marcello Hernandez. They didn't really say too much. You're going to think I'm doing a bit here. They wrote, on Saturday Night Live, he plays a Latin lover named Domingo. But at the Hollywood Bowl on Mother's Day Sunday, headliner Marcello Hernandez riffed on his real life as a mama's boy growing up in Miami, and duly invited out his mom Isabel, who was met with a standing ovation. Then they discussed the roast of Kevin Hart. I think we've covered that enough. And then at the Greek Theater, Flight of the Conchords, looking a bit more like silver foxes than young birds, that made the timeless chuckle-inducing tunes like Robots, The Most Beautiful Girl in the Room, Hurt Feelings, and Business Time land with even more impact as the crowd enjoyed some long-awaited nostalgia. Did they forget a few lyrics, miss some solos, mess up entire songs? Sure. But with a dose of Kiwi banter and the ability to laugh at themselves, the mistakes only made the show funnier and a reminder of why they've missed them. You can find that show on YouTube. Don't tell anybody. I don't want it to disappear. I enjoyed it. All right, it's a holiday weekend. Let me get you out of here. Let me tell you one more thing. From the BBC, hundreds of comedians have reportedly gone unpaid after the Leicester Comedy Festival. The festival attracted around 100,000 spectators and featured more than 500 acts, including Stephen Fry, Sarah Pesco, and Rosie Holt. Organizers said performers were expected to be paid after the event, which ran in February, but payments have been delayed because of cash flow problems. Comedian Benjamin Alborough said he was owed just short of 2,000 British pounds. It's very frustrating. I got bills to pay like everybody else. Between festival registration fees and travel and accommodation and production costs, I have to invest several £100s per individual show. I want the Leicester Comedy Festival to succeed because it's a brilliant thing. But in order to do that, everyone needs to get paid. Artists need to be paid money. Canadian comedian Zoe Brownstone said she was owed around $225. I guess they did a conversion here. I've done a few festivals. This by a mile was the most prepared. People donated more for tickets. Leaving the festival, I felt great. I never felt so positive. It's astonishing to me that a big organized festival can't pay me at the end of the day. Michael Harris Wakelam, chief executive of the nonprofit organization Big Difference, which runs the festival, said, "It's a case of the cash flow problem. What we're trying to communicate with the artists is this is a case of a small delay rather than you won't be paid." He said the organization was still waiting on money from sponsorships, third-party ticket sales, and commissioned shows, and was exploring bridge financing with banks. That is your comedy news for today. See you tomorrow.